Say it with me now. Hot girls read lit fic. What is lit fic? What is literary fiction? This is a genre that I have come to just love and be obsessed with in terms of reading. Like, if you know me, you know I'm a fantasy girl through and through, but I have been loving. So lit fic is a subgenre of the fiction category, but it is more focused on characters than it is on plot. With books or with genres like romance or fantasy, there's typically like a 3-arc structure and you're building towards something. You hit a lot of the same beats across the genre. Of course, there's, exceptions and there's things that are different, but literary fiction is not so much a plot-driven book, but more so a character-driven book. What are these characters doing? How are they feeling? What are they learning? Even if the plot is very mundane and simple, it's their everyday life. There's nothing big building, but you're getting an inside look at the characters' lives, feelings, etc. And I think that it's just a very beautiful exploration of humanity and all of that. So for a little tiny introduction to literary fiction, I have picked 5 books that I think helped me get into the genre, and I think could help you get into the genre if you're new to it, because these are still exciting, even if, again, the plot isn't being driven by events and things like that. These are more character studies and they're just done so well. You'll notice a trend with literary fiction where the books tend to be shorter. I think it's so telling when an author is able to tell a whole and complete story in like 350 pages or less. Some of these books aren't even 200 pages, but the story doesn't feel incomplete. It feels so whole. They've said all they need to say, and I just love it. So this is a little introduction of my favorite literary fiction books that I think are going to be a good spot for you to jump into. First is The Unworthy by Agustina Basterrica. I love everything she writes. These are originally written in Spanish and translated to English. Her books are very dystopian, almost otherworldly feeling, very unsettling. This is another one of her books over here, Tender is the Flesh, which is a whole nother thing and could be added to this list, but I wanted to highlight this one. This one just came out this year. This is about essentially a cult at the end of the world. In the aftermath of the climate crisis just destroying the world, technology is gone, everything is gone. Our main character, who is never named, I love it when you get a lit fit book with the main character, the narrator, never being named. I think it's so cool. But our main character, she has been on her own for a little while when she stumbles upon a convent and then just like unknowingly, unwittingly becomes a part of this cult. This cult serves a god that she doesn't know, she doesn't understand, she doesn't really understand how this whole cult is set up. She is a part of the Unworthy, which is a lower level of the cult, and then there are the Enlightened, and there's like this mysterious man, I forget what they call him. I guess he would kind of be like their bishop or their pope or whatever. He's like at the highest level. They never really see or interact with him, but he's kind of the top dog. And so one day this new woman shows up and just kind of flips everything on its head, and it's just, again, a really good exploration of humanity and how humanity destroys itself and how humanity tries to pick itself back up again. It is, I would classify this as like a subgenre of horror. It is unsettling, but as with all Agustina Basterrica books, like, I think totally worth it, and just a beautiful commentary on capitalism, humanity, etc. Very good. Normal People by Sally Rooney is also classified as a literary fiction book. It could also fall under the romance category, but it does have very strong lit fic vibes. This is the story of Connell and Marianne, who grew up together and kind of have had an on and off relationship throughout their like adult years, their teenage years. It's a good look at both Connell and Marianne, who they are as individuals and who they are together, and kind of that mutual attraction and infatuation that kind of keeps them always coming back to one another. This is like, I think, a modern classic. I think everybody's heard of Normal People. Everybody has seen the show. Hopefully everybody's read the book. You really should. It's worth it. But again, just a beautiful character exploration. We're not really building towards anything huge, you know, it just kind of takes us through their daily lives together and what that looks like. I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. I will never shut up about this book. It is a small but mighty book. I tabbed the crap out of this because it was just so philosophical and so good. It was just such, okay, so many themes. Let me back up to what this is about. This is a story of 39 women and one young girl who are kept underground in a bunker for years. They have no idea why they're there, what's going on, what the world is like. They manage to escape, and it is this group of women just exploring the world. It's very eerie and unsettling. It's definitely dystopian, post-apocalyptic vibes, and I think a lot of people are disappointed in this book when they realize that it's literary fiction, because there's no like big bad enemy, there's no big bad battle coming. It's just a lot of emptiness and a look at, you know, womanhood without men. It's a very feminist novel. It is a very exploration of love and humanity. There's so many themes here. I think it's beautiful that it's told through the lens of this young girl who was born into this underground bunker, whereas the other women can remember their lives beforehand. She cannot, so this is all she knows, and so her version of humanity versus theirs is vastly different. And I love the contrast. I love the look at that. And it's so good. It's so eerie and unsettling that I couldn't put it down. And the last line, oof, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but that last line is going to stick with me for the rest of my life. My Last Innocent Year by Daisy Alpert Florin is another look at femininity, of feminism, womanhood. I just really love, I think literary fiction books about women is where I just thrive. I love them so much. This follows our main character, Isabel, who is in college. She is a writer, or like a aspiring writer, and she develops an affair with her lit professor. Yes, her writing professor. And it's a very interesting look at consent and what's appropriate and what's not, because of course they're both of consenting age. She's an adult, but it just walks us through her everyday life in like going through college and friendships, and also having this affair with her professor, and also like pursuing her dreams and how he's entwined in those, and basically the success of her career riding on him and that relationship. He does say something to her of like, you know, years later when you tell this story, you're going to paint yourself as the victim, but just know that you never were, which is exactly what a man would say. And it's very interesting because, again, we run into those blurry lines of, yeah, okay, she's of consenting age, but was it really appropriate? I just think it's a very interesting look at that sort of dynamic between people. Lastly, we have Severance by Ling Ma, and no, for the millionth time, this has nothing to do with the Apple show. Every time I show this on my Instagram, everyone's like, I didn't know the show was based on a book. Like, take 2 seconds to do some Googling. It has nothing, the word severance has existed long before the show. Trust me, I'm a huge fan of the show, but this has absolutely nothing to do with the show. This is a post-apocalyptic office literary fiction book. There's no better way to describe it. The first few chapters feel very reminiscent of the early days of COVID, when things were kind of trickling in and things were starting to happen and people were like, what's going on here? So it details I think it's Shen fever is what happened. Our main character Candace navigating this new world where things are shutting down, and Girlie is just trying to hold on to her office job as long as she possibly can. This flashes forward to present day and early days of the apocalypse, the pandemic, if you will. And I think too, because Candace is Asian Chinese, I believe it's been a while since I read it, but I believe her parents immigrated. And so I think it's very, very interesting, the look of being severed from your past self to who you are now, not only with, you know, the immigration from China to America, but also pre-apocalypse, post-apocalypse. Very interesting parallels at play. The zombie-like creatures in this book are fascinating. And again, it's one of those things where it's like you're kind of just waiting for the shoe to drop, but this isn't amounting to any sort of big finale. You know what I mean? It is definitely literary fiction. It is definitely looking at the characters an in-depth character study of our main character Candace and kind of the people around her and how they respond and react to what's going on. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that gave you a little beginner's guide to literary fiction and that you check out some of these books because they're so worth it. Please don't write literary fiction off. A book doesn't have to be exciting to be super powerful and super intriguing. So I hope you check out some of these books. Let me know if you do and if you want to see a part 2 to this series. And I'm gonna stop yapping now and I will see you guys next week. Bye guys!